All right, all right. Welcome, everybody. We're here for the official 2026 Real Estate Agent Business Plan, and I cannot wait to dig into it with you today. Actually, just stepped out. We're doing our Glover Agency Real Estate Company advance, just a few rooms over. I'm coming at you from downtown Detroit today, and I'm so excited to share with you the exact same plan that our team is going to use to sell over 1,000 homes this year, the same plan that our team will use to sell over 300 million in volume with 38 full-time salespeople. This is the exact same plan that I'm using personally in my business, and it's the exact same plan that all of our agents will be using as well. So good to see everyone with us on this Thanksgiving week for those of us in the United States, and for those of us joining us from any other part of the world. Thank you for being with us on this Monday morning. In fact, if you could do me a favor, I'm always curious to see where everyone's joining us from. Do me a favor, drop in the chat where you're located. Give me city and state, or city and province. Or let us know where you're joining us from all over. I know the U.S. and Canada, but also we have other parts of the country or of the world as well. All right, look at all those folks. Washington in the house, Oregon in the house. Thank you for waking up early for all of our West Coasters. You know, we try to pick a time for our webinar. North Carolina, South Carolina, a lot of Ohio, Atlanta, Miami. All right, I love South Florida. You guys know that. Detroit. What a win yesterday. We kind of edged one out. I'm a little concerned about our team right now, but that's another story. Anyways, I love this week of the year. This is my favorite week of the year for a couple reasons. Number one, it's my favorite week of the year because I get to spend time with all of our associates. We do our annual team advance every Monday before the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday. That's just a tradition. We do it that week for a couple reasons. A lot of people, for some reason, and I don't understand why, and I'm going to give you my 2 cents on this in a minute. A lot of people like to do their business planning, in September, in October, in even August for the next year. And I never understood that because, as far as I'm concerned, we have until December the 1st, really. Some of you, December 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in that range, if we can squeeze out some cash deals. But for the most part, we have until December the 1st to get all of our business in for this year. And so the last thing I want to do in the middle of October, or even the middle of November or the middle of September, is start thinking about my business next year. I still have a strong fourth quarter to finish up. I still have a strong month of December. A lot of people are surprised to hear this, but when I look at some of my biggest closing months right now, even like today, even through 2025, it's usually June, July, December. That's right. December is almost always, for a matter of fact, December is always in the top 5. Most years, it's in the top 3. And that's no different than this year. It'll be in the top 3 for me this year and our team as well. Why is that? It's because we charge hard all the way to December 1 on our 2025 plan in this case. And when we hit December 1, we shift gears and we start thinking about 2026. We operate on December 1st as if we're already in 2026. And then that's going to show up in our results in terms of appointments and contracts in December and closings. And income in January and February. So for those of you that start your business planning early, I never understood why you started so early when we have so much time left. I don't want you throwing in the towel when you can still handle plenty of business between now and the end of the year. And having said that, because I know a lot of you, by the way, for my first timers, I want to see if you're a first time on anything Glover U, whether it's an in-person, a webinar. Drop in the chat if you're a first timer, or just put rookie or put first timer in the chat. I want to see all of our first timers. All right, there we go. First timer, rookie. There we go. Rookie in the chat, first timer. Welcome to all of our first timers. So for our somebody said virgin. Well, for all of our first timers, there we go. All right, Glover U virgin. That makes more sense. From Vancouver. All right, thank you for joining us, Ron. Listen, when we get to this point of the year, there's a lot of you that have your plans already done. And what I would encourage those of you that have your plans already done to do is to think about what you could take from what I'm sharing today that you could implement into your plan if you've already completed it. There's a lot of you that are going to take some of the sections from the business plan that I go through with you today, and you're going to insert it into your current plan. And I'm totally fine with that. Regardless of where you're at in your business plan, my hope would be that after we're done today, this is a 90-minute session, by the way, and it is our longest every year. The business planning webinar is our longest webinar outside of like the tours, and every now and again we'll simulcast or live stream the summit or the retreat. It is our longest because I want to take a lot of time with you and a lot of detail. I say to our agents all the time, in this particular case, give me 90 minutes, full, all attention, right? No distractions. Give me 90 minutes all in on this instruction, and I'm going to give you the entire year, in this case 2026, to execute on this plan. So for those that are not familiar, for my first timers, welcome and thank you for joining us. And I want to share with you, for those that are not familiar, I've got a story I want to share. Some of you know bits and pieces of this story, but not all of you know this entire story. So I've been listing and selling real estate now. This May, this 2026, I will be entering into my 24th year, if you can believe that, 24 years on the ground with you. And today, I'm not a webinar leader, I'm not a webinar trainer, I'm not a coach, I'm a producer, just like you. In fact, I've been told we're not only the fastest growing training and coaching company in North America, because in 2025, we were the only, I was told, the only company that experienced an increase in attendee count at our events and an increase in clients. Those are events with 1,000 agents or more. So I'm not only proud of that as a trainer and a speaker, but I'm proud of the fact that I'm still in the trenches with you. Just to give you an idea, in the last decade, the last 10 years, I have personally averaged over 100 transactions a year myself. That doesn't include what our team does, which is usually between 900 and 1,000 units a year. This year it'll be about 950 and 300 million in volume. And so why am I sharing that with you? I'm not sharing that with you to brag. Trust me, I'm sharing that with you because I know today you've got a lot of options, you've got a lot of choices, you've got a lot of people that you can follow. There's a lot of people with great information. And at the end of the day, there's only a few of us that are actually in the trenches with you doing it. And there's only one of us that's doing it at the highest level, and that's me. And so when I go through this material with you, I want you to know that it's not just stuff that I read in a book. It's not just stuff I heard in a mastermind group or an event I went to. I'm just sharing with you simply what it is we do day in and day out. And so I was very fortunate, just to give you an idea, the kind of the history of Glover U. People ask me all the time, Jeff, I see your ads, I see your stuff. Like, what is this whole Glover U thing? It seems like it came out of nowhere. Well, first of all, I've actually been working on this since 2005. Now, Glover U has been around since 2018, but the thought actually first entered my mind in 2005. Why is that? Well, because I had the opportunity to run real estate brokerage for a lady by the name of Kathy Schweitzer. Her and her husband, Paul, took a chance on me to run one of their Coldwell Banker offices. They had the largest Coldwell Banker in the Midwest, 16 locations, and they took a chance on me at 20 years old to run one of those locations. Well, what I didn't realize when I signed up to run one of her offices is that I was going to have to public speak. I was going to have to stand up in front of people that were at this point 2 to 3 times my age, right? Because you know the average age of a realtor is like 50 some years old. I was going to have to stand up in front of people that are more than twice my age and teach them how to sell real estate. Now, I knew how to sell real estate at the time. I had done about 40 some units in 18 months. So I at least had, in my first 18 months in the business, I at least had some of that business or real estate sales acumen down. But what I didn't have is how to train, how to coach, how to develop. And that's one of the reasons why I signed up for that opportunity. Well, when they told me I was going to have to stand in front of the class and run a sales meeting, I immediately went to Google. Yes, I know Google in 05 was a thing. I went to Google and I searched speaking classes near me. And I found 2 things. I found a speaking class at a community college called Schoolcraft College, and I found speaking class that was offered by a gentleman by the name of Floyd Wickman. It was called the Floyd Wickman School of Speaking and Training. And so I signed up for both college courses, and I went to one of this Floyd Wickman guy's stuff. Well, Floyd Wickman was a big real estate trainer. I mean, he was one of the original. Like, I owe a lot of my credit, or I credit a lot of my success to Floyd. He has since retired. Certainly, he has done great things for our industry. Any trainer that you think of today probably learned a thing or two from Floyd, and I was fortunate. Floyd was from Detroit, so I got to spend probably a little bit more time with him than maybe most would. Anyways, I signed up for his course in 05 because they said I was going to have to train realtors. And I was scared to death, believe it or not, for those that have been following us for a while, I was scared to death of public speaking, as most of us are. And so I signed up for this course. And by day 5, it was a Monday through Friday, like 9 to 4:30 course. And by day 5 on Friday, I approached Floyd and said, Floyd, I think I'd like to do what you do one day. And I said, do you have any advice for me? And he said, sure, I think there's one thing that's super important that you need to know. I said, okay, well, what is that? I said, well, he said, you're going to have to do something extraordinary. I said, well, what do you mean something extraordinary? He said, well, you're going to have to do something extraordinary so other people will listen to you. Okay, so in my mind, I'm like, do you have any other tips or advice or maybe anything you can tell me about what would be extraordinary? Nope. Just do something extraordinary and people will want to hear what you have to say. Well, as you can imagine, at this point in time, I think it was 19, just turning 20, ego, cocky as could be, thinking, okay, thanks for the advice, buddy. Thanks for the advice, Gramps. And so I go back to my office on Friday. The class ended a little earlier on Friday, it ended like 3:34. I go back to my office and I take out a piece of paper and I write at the top of that piece of paper, I write this thought at the top. And at the top I wrote, what would be extraordinary in real estate? By the way, a lot of you haven't, even if you've been following Glover, you maybe haven't heard this side of the story. What would be extraordinary in real estate? And so I started thinking to myself, I just kind of collect my thoughts on, okay, well, I've been going to conferences. I have an idea of what's impressive and I have an idea of what's cool, but what would be extraordinary? So I wrote down the following numbers. I wrote down the number 100 times 10, and then underneath that, I wrote down the number 1,000. Now, I was thinking the number 100 times 10 was if I could sell 100 homes a year, 10 years in a row, that would be pretty extraordinary, right? Because at the point in time, I had met a few agents that had done 100 deals. In fact, there was a few agents in Detroit that had sold 100 homes. But I had yet to meet an agent that had sold 100 homes a year, 10 years straight. Hadn't met anyone who's done it. So I wrote down 100 times 10. And I was thinking if I could personally sell 100 homes a year, 10 years in a row, I would definitely get the respect of real estate agents. Because even if you're on this webinar, even if your goal is not to sell 100 homes a year, you might say, Jeff, I don't want that life. That sounds crazy. That sounds like obnoxious amount of hours. I get that. I don't care what your goal is. You meet someone who's selling 100 homes a year, that's pretty respectable, right? You kind of respect that person. So I thought, okay, I can get the respect of the realtors if I sell 100 homes a year, 10 years in a row. But then I thought, what about the brokers? What about the owners of companies? Back then, there weren't a ton of real estate teams, but I was thinking, what about real estate teams, team leaders, broker managers, office leaders? How do I get their respect? And so underneath that, I wrote the number 1,000. And I thought, okay, if I can run a team, if I can build a real estate team to get to 1,000 units. In fact, I even wrote underneath that, I remember, be the first in Michigan to do it. So my goal was, if I could sell 100 homes a year, 10 years in a row, get a real estate team to 1,000 units, and be the first in the state of Michigan to do that, then people would consider that pretty extraordinary and they'd want to hear what I have to say. Well, I'm proud to say, obviously, Glover, you exist today because those two things happened. From 2008 until 2019, I never dropped below 100. In fact, personally, my highest number was 227. I'll have people come up to me and say, Jeff, I've done 100, but I want to chase you. Your personal best was 227. You can verify it through the MLS or something, I'm sure. 227 was my peak. And I will tell you, it was a miserable year in terms of my personal life. I mean, it was morning till night. I don't recommend it. Anyways, I also, in 2017, got our real estate team to 1,000 units. So I knew I was already at 8 or 9 years in a row hitting 100. 2017, our team did 1,013 units. Again, you can verify that probably through Real Trends. And in 2018, January 2018, we had our very first Glover U event in a town called Mount Pleasant, Michigan. It's in the middle of the state. It was freezing cold in the middle of January. Anyways, so since then, Glover U has launched. Today, we're a broker agnostic training and coaching organization for agents and leaders all over North America. You get to one of our bigger events. We now have thousands of agents that show up. And again, we were told by inside sources that watch this stuff, we were the only training and coaching company in North America to grow in attendee size and grow in client count in 2025. And we're super proud of that. And if you haven't had a chance to come to one of our events, I encourage you to do so. But for now, let's jump into the plan. So everyone should have the 2026 business plan. I've got one in front of me as well. If you don't, I know they've dropped it in the chat a few times. I'll have them drop it in there one more time. If you were late to the session, This is going to be recorded, and I'm going to recommend that you stay on all the way through, because if you go in and out or you take a call, you miss a step, you're going to feel like you're behind, all right? So make sure you get your hands on this. This is the exact plan that I'm operating from in 2026. So let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, housekeeping. You guys have already been using the chat. If you're using the chat and you want everyone to see what you have to say, just make sure you change the chat to everyone. All right, that's how we know that you're with us today. So make sure before you hit submit on your chat, you change it to everyone. If it's something you only want our marketing team to see, just do hosts and panelists. Like if you have a message for us or a question for us or something we need to know, just send a message to hosts and panelists and we'll be able to see that behind the scenes. Okay, so let's jump in. First things first, on the very first page of the plan, let's go to the very first page of the plan. There's a list of free resources there. And so we're going to advance the slides of the plan with you as well, so you can follow along for those that don't have the plan in front of you. There's a list of free resources there, and you're all adults. I'm not going to share every single one with you, but there's a few I want to make sure I share right away. First things first, if you are currently receiving the daily message, the morning message, if you're currently receiving the morning message, do me a favor, put 777 in the chat if you're receiving it and getting value from that. Drop a 777 in the chat if you're receiving the daily message and you're getting value from it. All right, because it'll save me a lot of time if you guys aren't getting value from it. So let me know if you're getting value from it. Just drop a 777 in the chat. Okay. All right, so I'll keep doing it. Okay, you guys, all right, yeah, all right, keep them coming. Okay, yes, I get it. All right, fine, I'll keep doing the daily message. So for those of you that aren't receiving the daily message, here's what it is. Every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, 5 days a week, I'm writing a message specifically designed to help you list and sell more real estate. Sometimes it's, I went on an appointment last night, here's an objection I got from a seller, here's how I handled it. Other times it's, hey, I changed this in my social media videos and I saw 2 or 3 leads come in because of that. Anyways, I'm writing a message to help you list and sell more real estate 5 days a week, and I'm going to gift you a free subscription. Here's how you get your hands on it. You can either scan that QR code that you see on your screen, or even easier, you can just text the word morning to 55444. Text the word morning to 55444, and we will get you that daily message, all right? That's the first resource I wanted to share with you. The second resource I want to share with you, which I'm going to reference a few times, okay, is getting your hands on the Glover U app. It's actually not on your screen. You're going to want your hands on the Glover U app because in the Glover U app, there's probably 24 other free resources that you could take advantage of. So why pay for resources from other companies when I'm gifting you them for free? All of our scripts are in there. And the newest resource in there, by the way, is the pricing guide, the exact same pricing presentation that I'm doing at every listing appointment I go to. Just to give you an idea, right now, a good month for me, 8-10 listings a month. A bad month for me, 5 to 7 listings. Still to this day, I go 5, 6, 7, 10 listings per month. Every single appointment I go on, I wrote out my pricing presentation and my pricing handlers. So you see that on your screen there where it says price and price reduction scripts. You can scan to download that, or I'll make it easier on you. Just search Glover U in your app store. You can download the Glover U app and get access to all of our resources. The last thing I want to point out, for those of you that are looking for some extra coaching, some extra accountability, some extra whatever, if you want to take this plan and work with one of our coaches, we now have 21 coaches all over North America. They've all been personally trained by me and, of course, our head coach, Kate Simon, who's been in the trenches with me for now, I guess she's probably close to 18 years. Anyways, you can scan that for a 25-minute strategy call long after the business plan sometime this week. Okay, there's the resources. Next, let's go ahead and move forward to the very first page of the plan, all right? It says step 1. Now, I'm going to share something with you on this plan to the right-hand side. For those of you that downloaded the plan and printed it off, every one of you should download this and print this off because I want you to take notes right in the plan, all right? So if your printer's a little slow, hopefully the fact that we're just now, I stalled a little bit to get you all in here and get it printed. Hopefully by now you've got your plan printed out because on the right-hand side of every section of the plan, I've got a page for notes. And for those of you that are like, oh, I've seen a similar plan to this, this plan has been completely overhauled. So yes, you're going to see some similarities with some previous plans, but you're going to see a little bit of a different focus this year, and you're going to see what that is in just a second. But on the right-hand side, so technically page 5 in your workbook, I want you to write out this question. Write this question for me if you would. When will, write this down, when will my business planning day be? When will my business planning day be between now and December the 1st? When will my business planning day be? Now, you don't need an entire day, but you need a half day. Jeff, I need an entire half day to complete this plan? Yep. You're going to need 3. Some of you can complete this plan in maybe 2.5 hours. Some of you are going to need about 3.5 hours. Call it 3 hours. On average, everyone's, trust me, I've done, I started doing business plans for my own personal business back in like 2005 was the first time I completed a business plan. It takes a good 2-3 hours if you want to do it right. And here's what I'll tell you. You give me 3 hours of your life planning using this plan, you can have the entire year to execute on it and have a great time doing so. So what is your business planning day? Write it down. In fact, what I want you to do right now, and we're going to do this together, because here's what I know. You're either a knower or a doer. I can give you all the knowledge, all the information. If you don't actually set aside time to complete this plan, it's not going to happen. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to open up your calendar in your phone. So we have 1 week. We have exactly 7 days between now and December the 1st. Pick a half day. What day is it going to be? Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'm going to give you Monday. If you want to, hey, listen, Jeff, it's a holiday week. I got family coming in. Cool. Then Monday, December the 1st, the entire morning or the entire afternoon is your business planning day. That's one of the reasons why we picked this week for our team advance, because it's a little slower week in business. I want our agents who, again, they're just a couple rooms over, I want them to mentally check out of their business for just 1 day and focus on their plans, which is happening right now. I just stepped out to do this with you guys. So what is that day? Go ahead, pick the day, set aside 3 hours. Because if you don't do that, this is all for naught. Well, Jeff, I'm just kind of here to get some ideas. Okay, you can get all the ideas you want today from real estate coaches and trainers. If you don't actually implement them, what good does it do? Set aside 3 hours right now. Go ahead and mark that down. My recommendation to you, okay, for my brokerages that are on, my teams that are on, here's how we're doing it, just to give you an idea. So today, with our team, today's Monday, we're having a presentation of the business plan, just like you're getting. So a presentation of the business plan is like group training, all right? You're getting training. You're getting trained on the plan. Today's Monday. On Wednesday, there's going to be a 90-minute group discussion. So there's 90-minute presentation of the plan, which is happening right now, and it's going to be happening with our team in just a bit after I'm done here. There's a 90-minute group discussion, which I'm going to do on Wednesday, or our leadership team is going to do on Wednesday. But Jeff, that's the day before Thanksgiving. You're making your agents work the day before Thanksgiving. Listen, they can take it from home. They can be on a Zoom. This is the week. This is the best business planning week of the year, because it's naturally slower in business, because people are saying, we don't want to list our homes this week. Come on. Thanksgiving is right around the corner for our U.S. friends. So this is a great business planning week. Hello. Wednesday, we'll have a group discussion, and guess what we're doing next week, Monday. Monday, we have a whole Monday and Tuesday, all one-on-ones, back-to-back business plan reviews. So for my leaders, because I know a lot of leaders around the country, around the U.S. and Canada, use this as their business planning clinic, and that's great. That's what it's for. There needs to be some follow-up. My recommendation is, even if it's not Wednesday, even if it's next week, next Monday is your discussion day. Next week, Wednesday, Friday is your one-on-ones. There's got to be some follow-up on this plan. All right, that's our cadence, by the way. So we present, then we have a group discussion around it. This is questions, brainstorming, so forth. And then we have one-on-one reviews. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the plan as you see it here on your screen. I'm calling, and I want you to write this on the page to your right. You're going to see this. You're going to hear this theme a few times in 2026. I'm calling 2026 the year of the contact. That's right. The year of the contact. Here's why. I'm studying AI. I've been studying technology. I've been studying social media. I've been studying video. We're using AI. We're using technology. We're using social media. We're using video within our own team and in my own personal business. And here's what I know. For those of you, I know a lot of you are planning on joining us at the summit this January. We're going to do a deep dive into those discussions. How are we actually, because all I care about is how do we actually generate leads with AI? How are we using technology to generate leads? How are we using video to make contacts with people? How are we using AI to make contacts? All I care about in 2026, and all I want you to care about in 2026, is how can you make more contacts every single day? I don't care where they come from. And for those of you that are joining us that are experienced or are veterans or are high producers, Jeff, contacts? You're going to talk to me about contacts? That's so basic. Watch. I'm not interested. When I say contacts, I'm not talking cold calls. Now, we teach at Glover U 7 different ways to make contact, including how we're using technology to make contacts. But it's not just cold calls. So what is the definition of a contact? I want you to write this down because you're going to hear this a few times as we go through the plan. Write this down for me if you would. The definition of a contact is a response from a decision-making adult. A response from a decision-making adult. That response can be go fly a kite, and that response can be when can you come out? The response can be we'll meet you later at 4 o'clock at this house, or it'll be we'll see you next Tuesday, or don't ever call me again. Whatever, don't ever reach out to me again. Don't ever message me again. I don't care what they say, so long as they respond, it's a contact. And so what you're going to hear throughout 2026 in my personal business, and I encourage you to implement this into yours, is 2026 is the year of the contact. And what I mean by that is we all have to figure out how to talk to more people. We all have to watch. AI is going to make it a little easier for us. I'm going to teach you how to do that for those of you that are joining us either at our tour stop, one of our tour stops coming up, or the summit. Video and social media is going to make it a little easier for us. I'm going to teach you how to do that. But I want you to think about 2026. For some of you, it's going to be the first time ever. For the rest of you, it's going to be a double down. I want you to double down on the amount of contacts you make in 2026. And I'm going to talk to you what I mean more about double down in a second too. So go ahead and write down on page 5 to the right of your notes there. Go ahead and write down 2026 is the year of the contact. 2026 is the year of the contact. So let's do some quick math here for a second. So starting on step 1, know your contact to closing ratio. How many days did you work in 2025? I'm going to help you figure out this ratio. How many days did you work? Let's just say, in theory, in 2025, you worked 250 days. 250 days worked. Now, by the way, if you subtract Sundays, you subtract holidays, you subtract some sick days, you subtract the Glover U conferences, you subtract some days off, 250 days worked is about correct. Now, you can actually go back. People will ask me, Jeff, how do you figure out days worked? You can actually go back to your calendar. I mean, you can literally pull up your calendar and you can see days you have appointments, days you took off. I want the exact number, but just to keep math simple, because I want the exact number. I don't want you to write down 250 just because I said 250. I want the exact number, but it's going to be somewhere between 240, 275, somewhere in that range. So let's just say days worked is 250. And let's just say on the average day, you made 10 contacts per day. 10 contacts per day on the average day, okay? So that's 250, 10 contacts per day, okay? That means in the entire year, our total contacts was 2,500. 2,500 contacts in 2025, if we made on average 10 a day. That includes phone, text, email, in-person, direct message, however you made the contact, I don't care. Well, Jeff, I didn't really track my contacts in 2025. I hope you did, because for all my second, third, fourth timers, you know, last year, this time, I taught you a lesson I said, listen, if there's only one thing you track in 2025, I said, track your contacts. So if you didn't do it, you have to do it moving forward. This is the year of the contact. This is the year where we have to literally roll up our sleeves and actually dig in on on how many contacts we're averaging per day. I would bet most of you, if you're producing, you're probably somewhere between 5, maybe 7 contacts per day. Most of my average producers are usually 5 to 10 contacts per day. My top producers, like people ask me, Jeff, when you were just listing and selling real estate, because obviously I'm still in it with you, but I have a lot of people behind the scenes making contacts for me. I've got advertising and so forth out there. But when I was just listing and selling real estate, before Glover U existed, people asked me, Jeff, what was your number? Well, my number was 25 a day, which by the way, I never got to an average of 25 a day. I had some days where I had 25 or more, but I also had days where I had 17, 18, 19. So I usually average about 21, 22 contacts per day. Per day. Jeff, you can't, it's 2025. Going into 2026, you can't make that many contacts per day right now. No way. Things have changed. TCPA, do not call. People aren't answering their phone anymore. Watch. In this very building that I'm standing in live in downtown Detroit, I don't know what floor we were on. Maybe we were 2 floors up. Maybe we were 2 floors down. We had an event called Prospecting Live. And we had 75 agents from all over North America. We had both agents from US and Canada fly in to prospect alongside me. We do this every spring and every fall, by the way. It's called Prospecting Live. And we spent 2 days calling together. And when I opened that session, I told everyone in the room that I'm going to prove, first of all, that phone prospecting is not only dead, it's not only not dead, but I'm going to prove that I can average 10 contacts an hour during our time together. Because for anyone who did heavy phone prospecting and maybe you got distracted or you shifted gears, maybe you're not making 10 contacts anymore per hour. I'm going to prove to this room, and I did it, by the way, I averaged 11 contacts per hour over those 2 days. One of my hours, I had 16 contacts and 2 appointments set. The point is that you can for sure get to 10 contacts per hour, which means you can get to 20 to 25 contacts per day. But back to the math here, just to keep it simple. If I work 250 days and I'm averaging 10 contacts per day, that means I made 2,500 contacts on that third line in 2025. Now, how many units did I close? Now, I never finished college, so I'm not good at math. So you'll notice I do a lot of even number math, all right, just to keep the math simple. So let's just say I closed in 2025, 25 units. 25 units closed. So then what that means is if you take 25 units closed divided by 2,500 contacts, that means I equaled 100 contacts to a closing. 100 contacts to a closing in 2025. Everyone in this business planning session needs to know their contact per closing ratio. And it's very simple for you to figure out. Some of you are going to have to estimate this one right here. Jeff, I get it. I'm a first timer. I wasn't here to hear your business planning last year. I don't know what my average contacts per day are. This is going to be the one that you're going to have to estimate. And if I can make a recommendation to you, round down. Because you all lie about your contacts. You all say you're making more contacts than you're really making. So whatever you think that number is, shave like 20% off of it. I tell some agents just cut it in half. That's probably the actual number. So you take the total days worked times contacts per day. This is step 1. That gives me, I made 2,500 contacts for the year. Now I closed 25 units. If I want to figure out my contact per closing ratio, I'm going to divide my contacts by how many deals I closed. And that means I have a 100 contact to closing ratio. This number is very important. We're going to come back to that later. That's step 1. Know your contact to closing ratio for 2025. Step 2, know your database results. So how many times did you touch the database in 2025? Now, my recommendation you're going to see in a minute is at least 12 times. All right. We believe in adding value to a database at least once per month. Maybe you're new to us. Maybe you haven't heard that before. Maybe you follow another system. That's fine. How many times did you touch your database in 2025? This includes all value adds. This is an email. This is a postcard. This is a client event. This is seeing them face to face. How many times did you touch your database in 2025? Write that number down. Well, Jeff, where do I find that number? Well, you're going to have to go back to where you did all of your mailings and your calls and your events and figure that number out. This is where the 3 hours comes in. This is where the time you're taking. This is a classic example. The business plan is a classic example of taking 1 step back to take 2 or 3 steps forward. And I have to say something real quick for those of you that are already kind of like getting bored. You understand, as a real estate salesperson, you are a business person. The business plan, by the way, is what separates. You hear me, if you come to our events or you're on any of our sessions, you hear me say all the time, I'll meet agents, great agents. I'll meet an agent that did 38 deals last year, 57 units last year, 18 units last year. And I'll ask them a few questions and I'll say, you have what I call a personality-based business. That means people do business with you because of your charming, pleasant, great personality. And you want to know how to do more business in less time? What's that? You need to go from a personality-based business to a business-based business. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're just kind of winging it, going through the motions and just showing up and talking and being pleasing and having great charisma, you're going to get some business, no doubt. But if you actually follow a plan, that charisma, that personality is what's going to help you do even more. So as boring and mundane as it might be, you have to understand going through this process is what's going to take you from a real estate salesperson to a real estate business person. My guess is we all love sales and we all love talking to people. Otherwise, we wouldn't have chosen this business. But if you want to have something that you can predict and something you can duplicate at a high level, you got to go through this plan. You got to set aside 3 hours to do this. And no matter how boring and mundane, you're going to be even thinking, well, Jeff, on Monday morning, man, I could be prospecting. On Monday morning, I could be out meeting with people. Nope. Give me 3 hours and then you can have your 365. Don't take the 3 hours and just keep operating as you've been operating and you're going to get whatever the market gives you. We have a saying at Glover U that I've followed for years. We make our own market. We make our own market around here. How do you make your own market? Right here with this business plan. That's what this is all about. Okay, so what did you do each month to add value to your database? What did you send to them? What did you mail to them? How did you add value to them? I want to know what you did in 2025 because there's probably some things that you did in 2025. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, that they're not seeing value in anymore. All right, like for instance, and for those of you that have been following for a while, you're going to get this one. This is my favorite example. For instance, in the fall months, if you set a reminder to your database to set their clocks back, did you send them a "it's time to fall back" message? If you did so, don't raise your hand. Don't say, yep, that was me. It's probably time for a database update. Because honestly, think about it for a second. I get them all the time too. My home inspector, his name is Hank, the home inspector. Hank sends me a message. I get an email from Hank. Hey, Jeff, it's time to set your clocks back. Did any one of your clients, or maybe you, did you respond to anyone like this? Watch. Hey, Hank, thank you so much for the reminder to set my clocks back. Had I not received this email from you, I would have never known. I hope you're well, my friend. Did any of you receive that message back from your clients, or did any of you send that to any of the vendors that sent you those messages? No. So why are we still reminding people to set their clocks back? They're not getting value from that anymore. So what I recommend you do is you complete a little bit of a database audit. We're going to cover that in just a second. So document everything you did. Even if you sent a reminder to set the clocks back, document it. You're going to see, it's going to stand out to you what's working and what's not. One of my favorite things to do, and you can put this on the right-hand side, is write this question down. On the right-hand side, on page 5 there, go ahead and write this question down. Honestly, would I get value from that? Write that question down. Honestly, would I get value from that? Because if the answer is no, probably don't need to do it anymore. Okay, let's go to the next part of the plan. Page 6. We're on step 2. Know your database results. Step 2, know your database results. New contacts added to the database. How many did you add? And what does that bring the size of your database to? That's important because we're going to do some more math here in just a second. How many people did you add to your database? By the way, my recommendation is simple. For those that have been following us for a while, I just recommend add one person a day. Watch, there's 250 working days a year. If you add just one person a day, you're making 15 contacts, you're making 10 contacts, you're going on a handful of appointments. If you add one person per day, that's 250 people added per year. There's 250 working days. That means in 4 years, you're going to have 1,000 people added to your database. Think about that. 1,000 people that are going to know you, like you, trust you, and refer you. So let's do some quick math here. All right, I want to figure out what your rate of return is. So check this out. So what is the size of my database, okay? The size of my database is I have 500 people in my database. That's past client, sphere of influence. 500 people in my database, okay? How many closings did I get from my database? I got 500 people in it. Now, how many closings did I get from my database? How many closings? Well, let's just say, for sake of simplicity, to keep it simple, I only got 5 closings from my database. 5 closings from my database is not good, by the way, if I have 500, because then that means how many actually did business with me? 1% of my database. You see there in your notes, the goal is 8%. So I've got a return rate of 1% of my database did business with me. That's not good. Your number should be 8%. In fact, the old rule of thumb used to be the golden rule of 10%. We teach 8% because 10% is gone. Thanks to technology and some other things, loyalty to our database is not as great. There's other companies out there teaching an even lower number. I don't know why they're teaching that number. We're getting, by the way, 8%. So you see down there at the bottom, okay, before I jump down there, total income from the database, how much did you spend, and what was your net income on database? It's important that we know those numbers because you could get Jeff, I get a ton of business from my database. Okay, how many deals? I did 27 deals from my database. That's awesome. What's your average commission check? Average commission check is 10 grand. That's awesome. 270,000 in GCI from your database. Love it. Now, how much did you spend to get that business? Oh my gosh. You don't even want to know. Between this event, between that event, I probably spent $300,000-$400,000. You're losing money on your database. That math doesn't math, all right? So we can't just go willy-nilly with what we're doing to our database. We got to make sure it's profitable. So how do I know how I'm really doing, though, with my database? I want everyone on here to do a database audit. At the bottom of page 6, all right, we already know the standard is 8%. So you can just go ahead and write in there the standard of 8%. So now how many people are in my database? So you already heard me say I have 500 people in my database. By the way, I'm going to do 500 times 0.08 times 0.08. That equals 40. Okay? 500 times 0.08, that's really how many deals I should actually be doing according to our standard. Now let's subtract how many I actually did. Okay, you heard the number, I only did 5, that's pathetic. Okay, how many did I actually do? I only did 5 for my database, which leaves, so you're going to subtract that number, that leaves 35 left over. 35 left over, let's just multiply it, keep math simple, your number might be higher, lower, whatever. Let's just say my average commission check is $10,000. I know that's a little on the high side, but remember I didn't finish college, so I got to use easy math. That means I'm leaving $350,000 on the table by not getting to this 8% return. At Glover U, we teach an 8% return because that's what we accomplish within my own business. In case you're wondering, we have a database of about 6,500 at Glover Agency. We do about 450 transactions a year from that group. So we're right at 8%. You get to one of our bigger events, you're going to see panelists on stage that talk about how they get to 8%. Everyone on this webinar has an opportunity to get to this number here if you treat it right. So go through and do the math when you're completing your plan and give me an idea of how much you left on the table. That means if I do all the right things, I can go grab this $350,000. If I treat them right, that's the key. Well, Jeff, where do I learn to treat them right? We'll get into that in just a second. Go ahead and turn the page. Step 3, let's talk about know your overall results in 2025. So this one I'm going to go through fairly quickly because it's fairly self-explanatory. All right, we have listing appointments set, met, signed, reduced. All right, that's a big one right now. I hope you're keeping a track of how many you're reducing because I need to know what percentage of my listings need reductions. You're going to see where that comes in a second. So set, I set the appointment. Met, I went out and saw them. Signed, they signed an agreement with me. Reduced, only count the first one, all right? Only count the first. I don't care if you had to get 3 reductions to get one sold, just count the first. How many of those went under contract? How many of those actually closed? On the buy side, buyer appointment set, met, signed. Only the first offer signed counts. If they did 3 offers with you, just count it as 1. Sold and closed. When you look at your sold versus closed, okay, that means you accepted an earnest money deposit, or that means it went under contract and you sent it to the title company or whatever. But not every deal, as you know, is making it to the closing table right now. In fact, the national average for as long as I've been alive has been somewhere between 15 to 18% of deals fall out. I'm seeing numbers in some markets of 20 to 25% fallout. So your fallout might be higher. Why is that important? Well, because you might have to pen to more business in order to get the same number to close because the fallout's higher. We're talking about right now a lot at Glover U how to keep more deals together, and that's where that comes in. Total units closed, total volume closed, total income paid. Again, those are pretty self-explanatory. Most of you should be tracking those. If not, you can go right back to your I hear all the time, Jeff, well, I have no idea how many listing appointments I went on. Yes, you do. Watch. Do you put your appointments somewhere like in a calendar, a Google Calendar, or in your phone? Yeah, I put everything in my phone. Okay, good. Go right to that. Like go through every single, yes. January 1, did you go on an appointment? Nope. January 2, nope. January 3, nope. January 4, nope. January 5th, yep, boom, there's 1. Wait, you want me to count every single day of the year the appointments I went on? Yes, that's part of business planning. Understand, the more boring and mundane it is, the easier your business will be in the next year. If you don't like the boring and mundane, then you're going to constantly operate off your personality in chaos. That's no fun. Go ahead, turn the page. Let's look at step 4, know your numbers. If you complete step 3 correctly, you're going to be able to come up with your ratios pretty quickly. I want to know how many contacts do you have to make to set an appointment. I have to know how many appointments you have to set to appointments gone on. I want to know how many appointments gone on to contract signed. And I want to know how much contract signed to pending sales. And I want to know how many pending sales to closings. Because watch, we can figure this math out and we can go all the way back to this is how many appointments you need to set in order to close 32 units. But if you don't know your numbers, you can't complete step 4. If you don't complete step 3, you won't be able to do step 4. Step 4 is just math. Step 4, you're just going to flip back to step 3 and do some quick math with the calculator to figure out your ratios, seller versus buyers. If you want a cheat sheet, if you're like Jeff, all right, I'm going to be real honest, didn't really track any numbers last year, don't have anything to go off of here, or maybe you're brand new, I don't know what to do, Jeff, I'm brand new, just use the numbers guide down below. Okay, that's 8 years worth of data of people using the Glover U system at a high level. Just use that cheat sheet for you. All right, go ahead, turn the page. Step 5, know your sources. I want to know how many closings you're getting from each one of these sources. All right, you're all professionals. You know most of these sources. If you have other sources that aren't listed here, just put them under other. I want to know units closed, not volume, not commissions, units closed per source. All right, so expires. Jeff, I had 7 deals from expires. Good, you're going to write a 7 in there. TikTok, Jeff, I'm really good with TikTok. I had 3 deals from TikTok. Okay, well, I don't know how good that is, but sure, put 3 in there. The point is I want closed units per source. And then when you're all done, and most of these are going to be zeros, because the best of the best real estate agents in the land know that they only need to work 3 to 5 sources to have a big business. Too many of you are sprinkling yourself too thin. I want 3 sources that you've mastered at a high level, and I want you to identify those down there at the bottom. Identify your top 3 sources. Go to the next page. Oh, there's that pricing guide. Again, you can scan that QR code if you want. If you missed the first part of this session, on page 15 there, you see the ad for the pricing guide. You can scan that QR code right out of your workbook, and you can take advantage of that pricing guide, okay? All right, page 16, source to source, step 6. After you identify your top 3 sources, what actions or value adds got you the best result? So, okay, now here's what I do. I'm going to look back to step 5, and I'm going to look at the top 3 sources. Let's just say expireds, for sale by owners, and database. I'm going to look at those 3, and then I'm going to go to page 16 and write down, I'm going to think to myself, okay, when I look at those 3 sources, what actions got me the best result? What did I do to add value to my database that got me a return? What type of calls did I make to for sale by owners? What are those results? Why is that? Because I want you to identify what actions got you the best result, so that way you can think about how you can add them into your schedule in 2026. Sometimes we have to stop, like I just told our team just a couple hours ago. I said, you guys, today is all about working on the business. This is what we're doing in this business plan. Set your listing appointments aside. Set your clients that want an idea, why their home isn't selling. Set all that aside. Today I was all about working on your business. And some of you, after this session's over, while it's fresh, you're going to keep working on this plan, and I love it. Maybe you set aside the entire day for business planning. So that's going to get your brain juices flowing as to what you did to get business from those sources. Let's go to page 18, and let's take a look at our database goal. So now we're getting into 2026. So now we're going to start thinking about what we want things to look like in 2026. Very simple. I know there's a bunch of different systems out there. 76 this, 33 that, 49 this, whatever. Remember, I didn't finish college. I went right into real estate. I did real estate in college simultaneously. I got out of college because real estate took off. Then I went back to college to start my speaking and training classes. Bottom line, I'm not that bright, so I just keep things simple. And so what do I recommend? Well, I recommend you're going to do something of value each month of the year. You're going to do something of value to your database. My recommendation, no matter what, and I want you to write this to the right-hand side because it's the year of the contact, no matter what you do, if you were to do nothing at all right? Some of you have maybe never heard me say this before. Some of you have heard me say this before. I can tell you what we're doing in a big way this year. And you know what that is? We're going to be contacting our database 4 times. Like this, over the phone. 4 contacts for the year. Well, Jeff, that's kind of a standard. Not for everyone. Some people just mail to their database. Some people mail to their database and they do pie giveaways. Some people send emails and text messages to their email. Nope. I don't care what you do to add value each month. I want you making 4 contacts to your database over the phone. 2 of those contacts, I want you to ask for business. And 2 of those contacts, I don't want you to ask for business. I want you to just add value. Well, Jeff, when are we asking for business? So just make a note, I can tell you right now. In January and in July, you're going to be asking for business, 6 months apart. And you're going to use the Glover U. I have a goal script. It's in the script book. You can go get it in the app. January and July, I want you actually asking for business. So in the month of January, you're going to say, I have a goal to help 36 families, 48 families, 72 families, 500 families, whatever the number is, buy or sell a home here in blank. And I was wondering, who do you know that could use my help? You have access to that. It's in the script book. Go get it. Same thing in July. Hey, you probably don't remember. I called you in January because I've got a goal to sell 36 homes this year. And I was wondering, who do you know that could use my help? We're asking for business twice this year. Remember, it's the year of the contact. What are the other 2 calls? The other 2 calls are in March and in November. In March, I'm calling them to invite them to our big client party, which is welcoming them all to downtown Detroit for Tigers opening day. And in November, I'm calling them this very week, okay? Because when we're done with this business planning session, our team, starting tomorrow, Wednesday, Friday, we go into database mode. I wrote it in today's daily message. We go after today's business planning, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, database mode. What does that mean? We're calling everyone in the database. We're thanking them for their business and their continued referrals. We're doing pie parties. We're loving on our database this week. So those are the 2 calls where we don't ask for business. And then, of course, I just shared with you the 2 where we do. But the other months, I don't care if it's emails, text messages, mailings, events, giveaways. Add 1 item of value per month. By the way, today I'm going through the playbook at the end of today's session, or towards the end of today's session. I'm going to share with you how you get your hands, today I'm going through the plan. Towards the end of today's session, I'm going to share with you how to get your hands on our playbooks. All right, so go ahead and turn the page to page 20. We'll call this 7A, database growth goals. How many do you want to add to your database? How many followers do you want to add? This is something we need to be conscious of. How many contacts do you want to add to your database for the year? Because remember, it's the year of the contact. So you're going to be making plenty of contacts. You're going to have plenty of people that you can add. What is the size of your database going to be by year's end? How many closings are you going to have for your database? What is your database return goal? By the way, if you want to know a recommendation here, okay, you know the goal is 8%. If you're like me on the previous page and I was only 1%, then I would just encourage you to increase that number by 2% every year. So most of you are probably somewhere between 2 and 4%. So let's just say you came out at 4%. Your goal for your return on your database for 2026 should be to get a 6% return. If you're already at 6%, your goal should be to get an 8% return. So just to keep that math simple, if you have 100 people in your database and you're only getting a 4% return right now, which means you got 4 deals from it, your goal should be to get at least 2 to 3 more next year. I want to see you increase that by 2 to 3%. Total income from database, total database expenditures, and then total net income. Well, Jeff, what's a good rule of thumb for social media followers added and goal for adding PCSOI? Well, the goal for adding PCSOI, let's start there. Okay, that's going to be pretty simple because that's just going to be the deals you close. And as a general rule of thumb, however many deals I close, let's just say I close 30 deals, I double that number, and that's about how many PCSOI I want to add. Because if you think about it, if you can close 30 deals and you make 30 contacts with people that add to your database from that group, there's probably another 30 that you talked to along the way that met you or referred you. So my goal, whatever my goal for closed units is, I double that, and that's my goal for PCSOI added. What about my goal for Let's see. My goal for, I've got it written down here, social media followers. My goal for social media followers, one a day. Just add one a day. If I add one follower a day, that's 250 for the year there. All right. So if I can add PC, SOI, whatever that number is, times 2, plus whatever your followers are, or plus whatever you want to add per day in your followers, times 250. Now you can get a total number for the year. If I can get a total number for the year that I can actually shoot for, then that gives me more incentive and more reason to make contacts. So when I think about 2026, the reason why I keep saying this is the year of the contact is because there are way too many distractions, way too many things that have taken off our track in 2025. And I want you focused on the simplest form. Because at the end of the day, I know the person that makes the most contacts is going to win the game at the highest level, period. In any market, the person who makes the most contacts in any market is going to win the game at the highest level. Let's go to step 7B. 7B is that's on page 22, your overall business goals. And this includes your database goals now. So now this is like the main page. This has got everything. My contacts are in there. My contact to close ratio is in there. By the way, let me just do some quick math on that. I want to go back to the contact to close ratio. I want to show you something. Okay, so if you recall, my number was 100 contacts per closing. And so let's just say, all right, I closed 25 units. Okay, I made 2,500 contacts. I closed 25 units. That's how we got to the 100. Let's just say I want to add 10 units to that. So I did 25 units in 2025. I want to go to 35 in 2026. So 35, watch. 35 now, I want to go from 25 to 35 units times 100 contacts per, right? I'm averaging 100 contacts per closing. That now means I need to make 3,500 contacts in 2026. Remember, I made 2,500 contacts in 2025. So in other words, I need to increase by 1,000 contacts. Holy smokes, Jeff. You mean to tell me if I want to add 10 units, if your contact per closing ratio is 100, yes, you're going to have to talk to 1,000 more people. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but watch this math. Remember, how many working days are there? 250. So if I divide this by 250 working days, it actually works out to only 4 more contacts per day. All right, that's not so bad. 4 more contacts per day because I was only making 10 a day. Remember, I was making 10 a day, 250 working days. So all I have to do now is go to 14 contacts per day, and I can sell 10 more homes. I can get to 35. Do you see the value in understanding your contacts per closing? By the way, if you're wondering, like, Jeff, what's a general rule of thumb? Like, what's considered good? What's considered not so good? What would be considered average? Well, as a general rule of thumb, high producers that have been doing this for a long time with big databases are going to be somewhere between 25 and 50 contacts to a closing. That's considered pretty good. Like if you're at 20, like when I think about my personal business today, I mean, I'm at probably 27 or 28 contacts per closing. I'm just under 30. So if you want to know a number that's pretty good, like what would be like something to strive for? 25 to 50 contacts to a closing. Jeff, then that's great. I'd consider that great. What would you consider good or better than average? Better than average would probably be about 50 to 75 contacts to a closing. That would be considered better than average. So then what would be considered like average? Average, maybe 75 to 125 contacts to a closing, which is, by the way, why I use the number 100. That'd be considered average. What would be considered not great? Anything more than 150 contacts to a closing is not considered good. That means you're either just literally cold calling neighborhoods, you're working old dead leads, or you've got no skills at all. So most of you should really set a goal to be at 100 contacts to a closing or better. All right, so anyone who's kind of wondering. But in this particular math, here's the good news. All I have to do is increase my contacts by 4 a day. If I increase by 4 a day, that brings me up to 14 contacts a day. Now I'll hit 35 closed units. That's the importance of understanding your contact to close ratio. All right, let's go ahead and turn the page. And let's talk about step 8, my double down plan. Okay, this is where we get to have some fun. What source will you be doubling down in 2026? I can tell you what ours is. You want to know what ours is? It's this right here. Expireds and for sale by owners For the last 5 years, by the way, as many of you know, it's been database. Jeff, you're going away from database? Absolutely not. We're going to continue to do the same things with database. We're going to improve our value add to database. We're going to come up with some new creative ways to add value to the database. For sure, that's a big source. It's our number one source of business. Of course, we're not going to give that up. But I also like to strike while the iron's hot in opportunities that I know are going to be big next year. And for us, that's going to be expireds and FSBOs. So I can promise you, for those that are following us at Glover U, you know I've been doing expireds and FSBOs my entire career. You're going to be hearing a lot more about expires and for sale by owners in 2026. For those of you that are joining us at the summit in January, you're going to get our entire game plan. You're going to have breakout sessions. I mean, you're going to have everything you need to be able to go in back into your market and take, watch, right now, just to give you an idea, 12 to 15 listings per month right now in Detroit are coming from this source for us. 12 to 15 per month. There were months where just me alone, I would take 12 to 15 to 18 listings from these two sources. And so I don't care what source you pick. For some of you, you're going to be like, Jeff, they're not my thing. Well, let me just share something with you why you might want to reconsider that. First of all, I get it. If you worked for sale by owners several years ago, they were mean, they were nasty. They told us to go, they told us our industry was dying and we'd never be able to sell a house again. It was bad calling for sale by owner in 2022. Forget it. Today, for those of you that were at Prospecting Live, you remember we spent 90 minutes calling for sale by owners. Every time I called for sale by owners, here's the responses I got. Oh, Jeff, well, we're not going to be hiring anyone anytime soon, but we'll certainly keep you in mind. Oh, Jeff, we're going to be interviewing agents in 2 or 3 weeks, and if this doesn't work out, we'll give you a call. Hey, thanks so much for reaching out. Yeah, we're working with agents that bring buyers, and if we can't get this sold by the holidays, we'll certainly keep you in mind. For sale by owners are friendly again. That's what they've been like the whole time in my entire career, except for the few years after COVID there. Expireds talk about the lowest hanging fruit, and right now every market across the U.S. and Canada, and I know in certain parts of Canada you have to work expireds differently, but I know right now this particular group, we're seeing 2 to 3 times per day these opportunities. Just to give you an idea, 3 years ago I might have 15 expireds a day to work in my market. Today I've got 40 to 50 every single day. I bet a lot of you do too. So for me, for this part of the plan, what source will I be doubling down on? Expires and for sale by owners. Okay, so give me some examples. So time and effort. Well, I'm going to write out what I'm going to do to increase our time and effort towards expires and for sale by owners. Resources. What resources are we going to use to get more business from expires and for sale by owners? Okay, we're going to be running ads. We're going to be using Vulcan 7. We're going to be using RedX. Anyone who wants to know what resources we use, by the way, if you go to gloveru.com/partners, that's gloveru.com/partners, you can see all of the people that we use to help us with our business. And anyone who's on that site, by the way, in order to be on there, they had to offer a discount to the public in order to get on that site. So take advantage of that savings. I have to identify what resources I'm going to use to get more business from expires and for sale by owners. And then skills. What skills need improving? Well, we're implementing video messaging to expires and for sale by owners. So maybe I could set aside time to go find video play partners when I'm at the event this January in Phoenix. I'm going to find video play partners on the break, and we're going to send videos back and forth. For those of you who've been doing this for a while, you've heard of role play partners. We teach that too, but we also teach video play partners. Because today, so much communication happens via video, you need a video play partner if you want to get better at video. Then how many contacts will I be making to this source in 2026? There it is again, the year of the contact. All right, just to give you an idea, for an individual, okay? So if I am just looking at my own numbers, not looking at our team, okay? If I'm going to go for expires and for sale by owners, just to do some quick math, watch this. Here's how I'm going to answer that last question there. How many contacts will I be making towards these sources in 2026? So watch. I know that right now, let's just call it, there's an average of 40 expires per day. And just to keep math simple on the for sale by owner side, let's say there's 10 for sale by owners per day. That's a little on the high side. There's not 10 a day. There's probably 4 or 5 a day though. And again, it all depends on the size of your market. So that means I have 50 per day. All right. And we know I'm going to work 250 working days. So what does that work out to? That works out to 1,250 available to me. Okay. That doesn't mean I'm going to be able to contact them all, but that means there's going to be 1,250 available in the year. And so let's just say, right now, I'm making contact. Let's do some math here. If I'm contacting about 15%, that's our attempt to contact rate, by the way. If I'm contacting 15%, That means then, hold on one second, I think I did this math wrong. Can you guys do me a favor behind the scenes? Do 50 times, so there's 50 a day, I'm gonna work 250 days. What's 50 times 250? I think this math is wrong here. I think it's 12,500. Yeah, 12, that's why that math was wrong to me. Okay, so there's 12,500 available for the year. If 15% of them answer, okay, can you take that number and times it by 0.015 for me, please? If 12,500 available times 0.015, or times 15%, sorry, times 15%, should be about 1875. Okay, there we go. So there's my contacts to expireds and for sale by owners in 2026. Now, you're going to look at this math and say, okay, well, that's pretty good because remember, I have to make 3,500 contacts. See how this is all coming together? So I have to make 3,500 contacts. Now I can take the 3,500 number minus by 1875, and that's going to leave however many left over. And guess where those are going to come from? My database. That's how you figure out how many contacts you're going to be. And then you can do this for any source. Now, I just anticipated about this many expires and for sale by owners, most of which I did it to keep the numbers simple, which clearly I didn't keep it simple because I needed some help behind the scenes here. You can do this with any source of business. Internet leads, Zillow, Realtor.com, sphere of influence, past clients, hybrid farming. You can do this with any source of business. That's step 8. What's your double down plan? What source you're going to go after? Let's go to step 9, page 28 in the plan. Plan of action to implement new source. You have up there recommended hybrid farming, social media and video, open houses, expireds, for sale by owners, and internet leads. So every year as a producer, but also as a coach, I guess I'm on here as a coach today, I give a recommendation of what source or sources you should consider working in 2026. There's my favorite 6 for 2026. This gets updated every year, by the way. Most of them stay the same, but I always subtract one and add one. So what I want you to do then is I want you to pick one. Okay, you're going to circle it, right? So I'm going to circle, let's just say you're watching this and you're like, you know what, Jeff? I've turned up my nose for all these years for sale by owners because I had a bad experience one time. I'm going to go after them. Fine. You're going to circle for sale by owners, circle it, highlight it, whatever. Now, what's action item number 1? If you pick for sale, in other words, I want you to pick one. Plan of action to implement a new source. Now, what are those steps? Okay, step 1, action 1 would be get the data. Get the data. And you can go to gloverview.com/partners to use Vulcan 7 or RedX. Both of them are great. We use both of them in our business. So then what would step 2 be? What would action item 2 be? Get the scripts. Get the scripts. Okay, good. You're going to get the scripts from the GloverView app. Obviously, you have access to all my scripts for free. What would action 3 be? Well, Jeff, I need to get good at my skills. Okay, get role play partners. Get role play partners. Well, wait a minute, hold on. Before I get role play partners, what about writing the scripts, chanting the scripts? Yes, write, chant. You can do that also before you role play. What would be action 4? Schedule time each day. Do you see where I'm going with this? I can continue going through. So bottom line is pick a source and write step 1, step 2, step 3, action item 1, 2, 3, all the way. You might not need to get to 10. You might get to 7 or 8, and that's fine. But the point is, pick a step or pick a source of business and start writing your plan. Oh, there it is again. How many contacts to the above source in 2026? Now watch. For sale by owners is what I circled. I already kind of did some math here. So 10 is my for sale by owner number. If I have 10 a day, which we don't have that many, but let's just keep math simple. 10 a day. Now I already did the math. I did the combined math. But if I have 10 a day times 250 working days, that means 2,500. Generally speaking, for sale by owners, answer at a higher rate than expireds. Expireds, there's about a 15% answer rate, which is what we calculated here for both of them combined. For sale by owners are closer to a 25% answer rate. So just to keep the math simple, let's say a 20% answer rate. So that means of the 2,500, let's see, 20% of that would be, help me out here, 500. Yep, 500. 500 are going to answer. So there we go. So now I have 500, boom, right in my plan. How many contacts? I got 500 contacts to for sale by owners in 2026. This is the year of the contact. Every source of business, I want you to identify how many contacts you're making to that source, just like I'm doing here with you. All right, go ahead, turn the page. Step 10, video, social media, and video and social media strategy. I was afraid this was going to come up. Yes. And that is, I want you to plan on one video per week. I told you this last year. I'm going to tell you again. Most of you did not take me up on it. Some of you did. And those of you that did, you've got thriving businesses, and you're probably going to be on our stage at this year's summit. And we're probably going to be playing some of your stuff as examples of things you did. But for those of you that didn't take me up on it, I have now one more reason why it makes sense to go deep on this source. A little thing called artificial intelligence. Well, what does AI have to do with video, Jeff? Well, because I'm seeing early indications, and I've already made my predictions on this. Some of you have heard it because you get my daily message. I'm seeing early indications that AI is going to shift from trusting written word. Right now, it trusts written word. What's on websites, what's in blogs, what people say about you, reviews, third-party sites. They trust what is written about you right now. I predict, and I'm already seeing a little glimpse of this happening, in 2026 and beyond, AI is going to get its information to make recommendations of when people search, who's the best realtor for this? Who's the best for this? I'm predicting, and I'm already seeing signs of this, all right? So it's a prediction, but it's really already starting to happen. Spoken word is what's going to be trusted by AI. So we have written word that's trusted right now. If spoken word is going to be trusted, and we don't need to get into the details about the fact that YouTube is owned by Google, Google owns Gemini. Gemini is probably going to be bigger than ChatGPT one day. I think ChatGPT is going to be the next Yahoo. They're going to blow up because they were the first to market, but Google, because they own YouTube, YouTube videos are going to provide information to Gemini, which Gemini has already integrated into so many tools that we use today. This is not about AI. However, now you have one more reason to produce video content each week. One video per week is all I'm asking for. The next several pages, you have a bunch of different ideas that you can use, all right? But go to page 34 right now, because in addition, so step 11, in addition to, by the way, again, for those of you that are joining us for our tour stop, one of our tour stops coming up or at the summit, you're going to get a lot of these playbooks. Today is all about the plan. You still got to get your hands on our playbooks. Today's the plan, though. You can't have the playbooks will do you no good unless you have the plan. People always say, but Jeff, I want your playbooks. Show me your plan. Well, I don't have a plan. Step 1 is the plan. Step 2 is the playbooks. All right, so step 11 in this case is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, Jeff, what is this? Well, once a day, I want you active out there posting something to social media. 5 days a week. Jeff, you want me to post something 5 days a week? Yes. You're going to see at one of our tour stops or at the summit this January, we're teaching agents right now for every listing or sale, 9 opportunities to post to social media. That's 9. That's one less than 10. 9. 9 times to social media you want me to post per transaction? Correct. Wait, Jeff, I thought the number was 3. That was last year. You tripled it? I tripled it. Why'd you triple it? Because it's working. So here's to make it simple for you. I want you to think 3 pre, 3 during, and 3 post. 3 pre, before everything's signed and sealed and live and inspection. 3 during, inspection, appraisal, financing. Think about what happens during a transaction. And 3 post. Closing, occupancy after closing, stuff that happens after closing. 3 pre, 3 during, 3 post. Again, you'll get the playbooks to that later. Let's go to the next step. And actually the next few pages there, I got free resources that I had them include into this business plan. You see at the bottom there, it says make copies of me, because this is going to help you with your videos. This is how, when we do a social media video, this is how we write it out. This is the exact formula that you can use for your social media videos. Don't just take out the camera and start talking willy-nilly. Write it out first, and then pull out your camera, and hopefully you have video play partners to share your stuff with. All right, let's keep moving forward. Let's go to page 40. My favorite, your least favorite, I'm sure, part of the plan, the most boring part of the plan, the new weekday morning routine. That's right. Here's what I know. If you own the morning, you're going to win the day. And so for those of you that are joining us in January, I'm going to reveal a brand new top producer schedule, which integrates a lot of what we're teaching today in the Glover U system. For those of you that are not joining us, I'm just going to recommend that you restructure your morning, because here's why. I am not suggesting that you get up earlier and start your day earlier, although some of you will. What I am suggesting is if you're doing any admin work at all, closings, walkthroughs, home inspections. If you're doing any of that in the morning, get it out of your schedule. There is no place for administrative work in the morning. I've lived by this rule my entire career. There is no prospect, there is no problem, there is no customer that cannot wait until 12 noon. There's no prospect, there's no problem, and there's no customer that cannot wait until 12 noon. Get it out of your schedule. Focus on income and client generation activities only. Things like lead generation, lead follow-up, skill building, practice, role play, writing scripts, chanting scripts, getting on the phones, doing something to generate business in the morning. Essentially, the morning is for finding your next client. The afternoon is for servicing it. Don't ever forget that. And at our event this January in Phoenix, I'm going to be going through the new recommended top producer schedule. I hope you'll be there to hear it. All right, go to the next page. If you have an increase in business, if you have a goal to increase your business, and I want you to hear me loud and clear on step 12 and 13, I have yet to meet an agent that has had a substantial increase in business without making significant changes to their morning routines. I have yet to do it. I've met an agent that maybe went from 24 units to 30 or from 36 units to 50, but I have yet to meet an agent to go from 36 to 75 or from 50 to 100 without substantial changes in their morning routine. So here's the deal. Most of you are working Saturday or Sunday. When you signed up for this business, you know you were signing up to work weekends. So what is your weekend routine? Are you just available like everyone else? Or do you actually have awake time, an arrive at your office time? That's always been my secret. I like working Saturday mornings. Why? Because my ROI is greater on Saturday mornings than any other day of the week. Think about it. People are home. People are answering. People are friendly. People don't have to think about work at that time. People are not thinking about dinner. They're not stuck in traffic on the way home. Your conversion is much higher on Saturday morning than any other day of the week. Something to consider versus just waking up and being available. Step 14, one of my favorite parts of the plan, midway Mayday. So you're going to write your monthly pending sales goal. So if your goal is if your goal is to pend or write, remember there's written and there's closed. If your goal is to write 4 deals per month, then what is 50% of that number? Well, 50% of that number is 2. All right, good. So then what are no less than 3, no more than 5 things I'm willing to commit to if I'm not halfway to my pending goal by the 15th of every month? No less than 3, no more than 5. What am I going to commit to? Things that are painful, like maybe a call night, or maybe coming in earlier on Fridays, or maybe staying later on Fridays, or coming in on Saturdays. Jeff, I don't like going to the office on Saturdays. Maybe that's one of your penalties. What are no less than 3, no more than 5 things you're going to do to work towards getting to that pending number if you fall short by the 15th? So if your number's 4 a month, if you're at 1 and it's the 15th of the month, midway Mayday kicks in. And when midway Mayday kicks in, you have to do these 3 to 5 things. These 3 to 5 things kick in, you're going to get results. You might even get results between then and the end of the month. But think of call nights, extra open houses, extra dials, coming in earlier, staying later. Think of no less than 3, no more than 5 things you can do once you get to the midway point of the month if you're not halfway to your goal. Go ahead, turn the page. Let's talk about step 15. I actually believe in step 15. If you complete this section of the plan, it's one of the more important parts of the plan, and here's why. In step 15, I want you to think about, and I want you to write this down at the bottom there. You see those 3 lines of space. I want you to write down what are no less than 1 and no more than 3 things I can do in each one of these categories. What are no less than 1 and no more than 3 things I can do in each one of these categories in 2026. Because it's my belief, if you actually think about it, if you take action on at least one thing in every single one of these categories, you'll have the business you want next year. You'll at least have a better business in 2026 than you had in 2025. So what are no less than 1, no more than 3 things you can do as far as technology goes? Well, Jeff, what do you mean by that? Well, is there a new feature that your CRM rolled out? Is there something that your CRM is providing now that maybe you haven't even touched? Oh yeah, there is. Okay, write it down. Let's take action on it. AI, is there something you can do there? Well, Jeff, I've been hearing I need to create an account on ChatGPT and Gemini and start feeding it information. Okay, write that down. Do it. What is no less than 1, no more than 3 things? Social media. Well, Jeff, I haven't been doing any videos. Do house tour videos count? No, house tour videos don't count. You have to be in the video. Okay, well, I'm going to write down 1 social media video per week, right? You're adding 1 thing in each one of these categories. Coaching. What coaching programs do you need to sign up for? What accountability do you have to put into place? Is it morning accountability, getting up earlier? Is it workout accountability? Is it a contact accountability? Can you go to our event in January and find accountability partners to help you with your practicing your role play, or maybe your producing videos? Books. What books are you going to read? No less than 1, no more than 3. Podcasts. What podcasts are you going to listen to or you're going to add? What health goals do you have? What wealth goals do you have? What relationship goals do you have? Who do you need to spend more time with? Who do you need to be more present for? What scripts do you need to master? Hello, pricing scripts, price reduction scripts. What community involvement are you going to do? People like to do business with people who do good things in their community. What are you going to do for your community in 2026? And finally, what events are you going to attend? People ask me all the time, Jeff, if you could sum up your success in just one word, what would it be? Well, you know it's not just one word. But honestly, if I had to pick one, like if you gave me like a list of 100 words and the word of exposure was on it, it'd be that one. That's the number one differentiator between the best and the rest, in my opinion. Why? Because everything I'm doing today doesn't exist unless I got on an airplane, I went to a real estate conference, and I got exposure to people that are doing bigger and better things than I'm doing. And I'm not just talking about your company's conferences. Your company's conferences are great. They're great for getting the updates. They're great for rah-rah. They're great for camaraderie. They're great for seeing your friends. And they're also mostly for recruiting and retention. All right, our events at Glover U, I got no dog in the fight. I don't care what company you're with. Our first agenda is getting you to produce more, period. All right, you should absolutely go to your company events, and you should consider going to one of ours as well. So what's my recommendation? Because I'll have somebody raise their hand and say, Jeff, what's your formula here for this? Okay, remember, I don't have my Glover U hat on. I have my real estate producer hat on when I say this. Please understand, this was long before Glover U existed when I lived by this rule. What's that rule? My rule is no less than 4, no more than 6 a year. Don't be a conference junkie, all right? You know the type. Every town has one. They go to more conferences than homes they sell. Don't be one of those. You're getting on an airplane a minimum of 4 times a year, no more than 6 times a year, to get to a conference, to get to an event, to get to something that's going to better your business. Identify what those are well in advance. By the way, speaking of events, exposure, you see there on the right-hand side of the page, you all have an opportunity to join me. If you know we've been talking about this tour, if they can get that thrown up on the screen, I don't know if we have a slide for it, but the 13 ways to take more listings tour, all right, our session. If you want some playbooks, one of the sessions, you can join me live. You know we're doing like 28 cities nationwide. Well, Jeff, you know what? I'm in Boise, Idaho, and gosh darn it, you didn't do one in Boise, Idaho this year. Well, Jeff, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, and gosh darn it, you didn't do one in Omaha, Nebraska. You can join me virtually. Because on Thursday, December 4th, it's going to be live. The one I'm doing here in Detroit, we're going to be live streaming it. All right, you can join me for that if you want. That would be like, for instance, for those of you that are newer to Glover U, this plan is step 1. The tour stop would be step 2. Because that's 3.5 hours of me going through all of our playbooks. So the plan is step 1. Everyone needs a plan for 2026. Step 2, even for my experienced producers, even if, now I know a lot of you are going to our tour stops, all right? If you've been to one of our tour stops, drop it in the chat if you've been to one of our tour stops and you got value from it. Let me know. I want to see it in the chat if you've been to one of our tour stops, our physical tour stops, and you got value from it. Because I can tell you, a lot of people get their hands on our materials, but then they don't get our playbooks. If you don't get our playbooks, then this business plan is going to be a lot harder for you to complete. You got to get your hands on our playbooks as well, and you can do that during this tour stop. It's only $59 if you want to join me. Just scan that QR code. We're going deep on all that stuff on the screen, so hopefully I'll see you. That's December the 4th. And listen, for those of you that are on the West Coast, you're like, Jeff, that's 6 a.m. my time because it is Eastern Standard Time. You're going to get a recording, and it's good for a year. So if you want to join us halfway through after you're up, feel free to do so. You'll get the recording on the first half. Join us in that. That's step 2. Step 3, on the very next page, where you all should be no matter what. So you get to a tour stop first, and then you're going to want to go here. And I asked our marketing team to put together a 3-minute video, which is going to show you exactly what we're doing this January. Now, don't go anywhere because we're not done with the plan. I still have a few more sections of the plan to get to. I told you we'd be done. It'd be a 90-minute webinar. We're running about 5 minutes behind. So marketing team, play the video, and then I'm going to go through the rest of the plan. We still got a few more sections to get to, including one of my favorites. Check it out.
You can't wing your way to the best year of your career. And if this year is any indication of what 2026 will look like, You need a plan. You need direction. You need to be in this room.
My business has doubled, literally doubled.
It is a game changer. It will change your life. It will change your business. And it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made.
This January, we're kicking off 2026 in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. And if you're serious about selling more homes, hitting the goals you've been chasing, and living your unreal life, you need to be here.
I'm hitting records that I've never hit before. I'm breaking through limiting barriers I've never had.
This is the Live Unreal Summit, the event that will launch your year with clarity, purpose, confidence, and a plan that actually works.
So many life-changing aha moments.
Being in rooms with like-minded agents who are focusing on getting better.
We'll give you the exact systems, tools, strategy, and the mindset required to grow in any market, no matter what the headlines say. This isn't fluff, this is tactical. This isn't stuff agents did 5 years ago. This is the stuff my team and I, and literally thousands of Glover U clients around North America are winning with today.
Do it. It is 3.5 days, action-packed, of motivation, inspiration, pages of tactical strategies that I can implement.
With some of the other events that I've been to in the past, it always seems like what's on stage is for show and not for dough. And what Jeff puts on stage is what's going to actually help you make money and be successful in a difficult and challenging market.
I invite you to join us at this January's Live Unreal Summit in Scottsdale, Arizona at the beautiful Westin Kierland Resort.
Better to go big and really take in all the content, all the fun. You won't regret it.
If you want to actually be successful in this business, you need to put yourself in rooms with other people that are successful. If you want to be mediocre and average, keep doing what you're doing.
So the question is, are you going to drift into 2026? Or are you going to grab the reins and drive your business forward? Secure your seat, set the tone for your year, surround yourself with people who are where you want to be, and make your unreal life your reality. We'll see you this January.
Everything we do is about fans.
The Savannah Bananas.
The Savannah Bananas.
Savannah Bananas.
The Savannah Bananas, baby.
One team down south is taking the sport by storm.
But we're trying to create the greatest show in sports.
That's an incredible story. Like, what an American dream.
You got to think differently. Whatever's normal, do the exact opposite. Stand out, be different, have fun, and swing hard. In case you hit it.
The guy in the yellow suit, Jesse Cole.
He's got a goal to bring the bananas not just across the country, but around the world.
I'm Jesse Cole, the owner of the Savannah Bananas and the creator of Banana Ball.
And that is the final step right there. So you got the plan, you attend the tour stop, the virtual tour stop, and you get to January, you get to Phoenix. People are like, Jesse Cole, how'd you get that guy? Well, watch. He has absolutely taken a sport that is otherwise traditional, and he's reinvented it. And I've asked him if he can share with us ways that we can reinvent the real estate industry. And so it's going to be super cool to have a conversation with him. He's just one of the keynotes. Every day we start with the keynote, and then we get to work. Everyone who's joining us today, you're getting a $200 off code because you've joined us for this business planning session. Take advantage of that code. You can see Plan 200. You can scan that QR code. That's PLAN, the number 200. Here's the biggest thing I will tell you. By December, the room block will sell out. So if you go to gloveru.com/summit, click on book your discounted room, because that sells out every December. Our event is always in January. It sells out every December. If you're serious about making 2026 your best year, I suggest you get into that room. 1,500 plus producers from all over North America will be there. All brokerages, all brands will be represented. I promise you, if you've never been to one, we won't let you down. And if you've been to one of our events before and you got value from it, please let everyone else know in the comments if you've been before. In fact, I would ask you, are our events more fluff and rah-rah, or more content and business focused? Honestly, answer the question. If you've been to one of our events before, I want to see in the chat. Are they more kind of rah-rah and fluff and things that you see at most conferences? Or do we get down to business right away? Do we get to content right away? I mean, stuff that you can take away, actionable ideas that you can use right away. If you've never been, maybe now is your time. One last time, go to gloveru.com/summit. Thank you for all the great comments, everybody. By the way, I can see them. They're showing me them on the screen. gloveru.com/summit. Get $200 off your ticket by using the code PLAN 200. And in your workbook there, you see the agenda. Beautiful resort. You got no reason to leave. And listen, selfishly, there's a reason why we put it in Phoenix, Arizona in the middle of January. I'm coming from Detroit. A lot of you are coming from colder climates. Hello. All right. Let's finish up the plan on page 50 with step 16, December calendar activity. Super simple. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to put an X through the days that you know you're not working. All right. So I'll do it with you. I know I'm not working on the 25th. I know I'm not working on the 26th. I know I'm not working on the 27th. I know I'm not working on the 28th. However, I'm going to take a half day on the 24th. I'm going to take a half day on the 24th. I'm going to take a half day on the 31st. And I'm going to take, let's see, Sunday the 14th off as well. So here's what I want. I want an X through it if you're taking the day off, and I want a half an X if it's a half day. So you're going to put an X through all the days that you're taking off, and I want you to put a dash or a slash through all the days. So X equals a full day off, and just like a half an X equals a half day. This is two things. Number one, it's accountability because it holds you accountable to things you said you would do. And here's the deal. The difference between the best and the rest. See, the rest are going to coast in December because they're going to think the year's pretty much over. And then you're going to wonder why when you get into January and February, your first closing is February 22nd. Your first closing is February the 14th. Jeff, I went 45 days into the year without a closing. This is why, right here. This December activity is exactly why. This is the difference between the best and the rest. Because the best, watch this, the best start the first Monday, the 1st of December, as the first day of 2026. So what does that mean? That means every day you're going to work is going to be blank. And those days that you work, you're going to treat them as if it's already 2026. You're going to get to operate from a 13-month year. I'm going to give you a 1-month advantage over your competition. Well, what do you mean by work like it's 2026, Jeff? Well, watch. In the new schedule, did you say you're coming in at 8:30 instead of 9? Great. Monday, December 1st, you're in at 8:30. Well, wait a minute, Jeff. That was for next year. That was for January 2nd or January 3rd. Wrong. You're going to be a month behind if you do that. Because what you do in January is going to show up until February or March. If I want to have closings and income right away, I have to treat December as if it's the first month of the year. So December of 2025 is month 1 of 2026. Don't ever forget that. That's identifying what days, and listen, don't feel bad for taking days off. If you're like, Jeff, I'm not working a half day on Christmas Eve, that's fine. Your goals might not be as big as mine. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have the goal to sell 100 homes per year, then take that day off. This is designed to hold you accountable to the days you said you'd work and also help you not feel guilty about taking the days you said you'd take off. All right. Last part of the plan, and without question, we're going to finish this one. It is my favorite. Now, you've heard me use the term favorite a lot. This is really my favorite, though. All right. I geek out on business planning, right? This week is business planning week. So what I want you to do on step 17, and I want you to hear me loud and clear on this, and don't go anywhere. This is the most important part of the plan. Ready? Step 17 is, without question, the most important part of the plan. Because if I get this one done, then I'm going to be excited about doing the rest. So I have step 17 in front of me, but I'm just going to give you a quick example. I have it up here. I'm going to draw it up here as well. We have that kind of line down the middle there. I know it's a little hard to see, but there's a line down the center. And in 2025, let's just say for the sake of example, I'm going to keep math simple. In 2025, my average monthly income was $8,000 per month. All right? Not bad. That's about a $100,000 a year career for a real estate agent. I know you have good months, bad months, whatever, but it averages out to $8,000 for the month. All right? So you'd write your average monthly income for this year at the top of step 17. On the right-hand side, let's just say I'm coaching you and you say, Jeff, this is going to be my breakthrough year. This is the year that I want to double my income. I've been doing 100 grand a year for the last 3-4 years. I want to make 200 next year. Okay, so 2026, sorry, I wrote down a 5 there. In 2026, if you're going to double your income, that's going to be $16,000 per month. You want to go from $8,000 to $16,000, is that right? Yep, that's right. Again, most important part of the plan is right here. Don't go anywhere. So now what I want you to do is I want you to tell me what your life looks like currently at $8,000 per month. What do you mean, what does my life look like at $8,000 per month? Well, what I want you to do is tell me, how do you spend your money? Where does your money go? Where do you have dinner? Where do you go out? What do you do with that money? What's your lifestyle look like? Okay, I get it. Well, we live in this house. My wife drives this kind of car. My kids go to this school district. We belong to this swim club. We like eating Applebee's on Fridays. Like, this is what our life looks like. Okay, good. Tell me what your life looks like now on your current income. Got it? Good. Write it all down. What's on your credit report? What do you spend your money on? Take out your credit card and look at what you spend your money on regularly. Lifestyle stuff. If I were to ask you, what does your lifestyle look like right now? Explain it to me. Now, in 2026, you want to make $16,000 a month? Yep, I sure do. What are you going to do with the extra $8,000 a month? Where's it going to go? Okay, so here's the deal. Tell me what's going to change in your life. I need to know. Well, Jeff, I haven't thought about what's going to change in my life because I haven't done it. That's the problem. You understand, most of us are wired to have enough money to pay the bills, take a few vacations every now and again, and have a little bit left over. Most of us are not wired to think, what would it look like if I doubled my income? I get it. We're not raised that way. Most of us were not. I wasn't raised that way. So thinking like this is like something a little abnormal. Wait a minute, Jeff. You want me to think about how I would spend the money if I were to double my income? I don't even know if I can do that. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten. If you can't tell me with specifics what will change in your life, it ain't going to happen. This entire plan, toss it in the trash. It won't matter. Unless you can tell me with specifics what's going to happen when you hit these income goals, when you make this money, here's how our life is going to change, it ain't going to happen. And so I want to know with specifics what it's going to look like. Okay, Jeff. Okay. I get it. We're gonna move from this small ranch to a colonial. We're going to upgrade my wife's car. My wife's going to get to quit her job. We're going to put money away for my college fund or for my kids' college fund. Instead of eating Applebee's on Fridays, we're going to eat Olive Garden. I don't know how much improvement that is. We're going to do this. We're going to move here. We're going to da-da-da-da-da. Okay, with specifics. Now we're getting somewhere. If you can tell me how you're going to spend this money, we're halfway there. If you can't tell me where the money is going to go, it ain't going to happen. Without question, if you were maybe to even consider starting with this portion of the plan, because if this is something you struggle with, maybe you have to, get together with your wife or your spouse or significant other, complete this part of the plan. I don't care how you do it. It's got to happen. Otherwise, you're not going to have the energy or the excitement to go through the rest of the plan. And that is the 2026 Real Estate Agent Business Plan. I'm going to recommend you do a couple things. Number one, you're all going to get a copy of this recording. I want you to go back and rewatch this recording at least once as you're completing the plan, so things are fresh in your mind. Number two, if you have not printed off the actual physical copy of the plan, I want you to do so. And number three, at a minimum, even if you're like, Jeff, I can't plan a trip to Phoenix, Arizona right now. I can't do this. At a minimum, your very next step is to get to that tour stop, the virtual one. If you can't get to a physical one, we still have like 10 or 12, 15 left. Get to a tour stop. That's where you're going to get a lot of our playbooks. All right. To do that, you go to glovery.com/tour to get to a tour stop or to join us for the live streamed one on December the 4th. That is the next. If you're wondering, Jeff, all right, I complete the plan. Now what? Get to a tour stop. Get to the virtual stop on December the 4th. If you're like, all right, Jeff, I've already been to a tour stop. I'm already kind of beyond that. Jeff, I'm a high producer. What would you recommend to me? Get to the summit. Get your butt to the summit. Even if you're a brand new licensee, you're going to find plenty of new agents that are there wanting to build a big business just like you do. There's a reason why we're the fastest growing. There's a reason why they're the fastest growing training and coaching company in North America. Nobody can touch what we're putting out because I'm putting out stuff in real time because I'm in it with you. Most of the conferences and events that you go to today, they're regurgitating stuff that we shared on our stage 18 to 24 months ago. They're using keynotes that we've had on our stage 12, 24, 36 months ago. Why is that? Because I appreciate and I respect that they're learning from us and they're following us, but the problem is, by the time you get that information, you're going to be a year or two behind a Glover U trained agent. At a minimum, get to our tour stop. One last time, that's gloveru.com/tour. Best thing you can do for your business in 2026, get to the summit in January. We'll see you guys then. Go have a great holiday. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.